News stories were coming in about this strange virus in Wuhan, China. It was weeks before we saw the first cases in the US. As the numbers went up each day, my curiosity got the best of me, and I started plotting the curves. Here's stories from real people all over the world and how they've responded. I'm Sally Hendrick, founder of Shout Your Cause, and this is COVID-19, The World Responds. Hello, I've got Pip Seymour here with me today. Hey Pip, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me a little bit about you, because we work in the online business space together. In a way, we kind of serve similar clients or do similar things in the background, behind the scenes with marketing. And I want to know more about your story, though. Like, how'd you get here?
The story. So, I currently do search engine optimization and paper, so everything Google. And the way I started, I have a degree in psychology, just a BA, and which is helpful for learning. But I remember saying one day I wanted to get into advertising, and at university, I can remember where I was, and lo and behold, my first job, real job out of university, was a magazine. And then I went into, so I've sold magazines, I've worked at newspapers as a sales rep. I've worked at a daily, a weekly, then I moved to billboards, and then I moved to pay-per-click advertising.
Okay.
But I was selling it. I wasn't doing it. I was entering the information, but I was not doing the other work.
Okay.
And so then my dog passed away, and it broke me, because if you know me, I love animals. I have 2 dogs, 3 cats, and 12 chickens.
Oh my
And
goodness!
that's just the beginning.
Chickens.
Yeah. They're fledglings right now. So that's before a year old. I just learned. And live in a beautiful place called Maple Bay. It's a hamlet. But so when I moved to China, I didn't stay very long. I stayed for 3 months. I taught English, and I didn't realize I was looking for the beauty in the world again, because the beautiful thing in my world died. So China, where I was very industrial. It was not beautiful. And that's how I figured out I was looking for the beauty. And so I went to Thailand, and there flowers fall on you. And so there's so much beauty in the world. And so I moved back to Canada after traveling a bit, and I got a job at a startup. And they sold everything: websites, pay-per-click advertising, SEO. And the company didn't care about its clients. They didn't mean to not care. They were trying to build a business, but they forgot about the people that gave them money. And so I was the middle person. And I looked around and I thought, I can do this. I thought I wanted to be that guy that did the search engine optimization, who got a paycheck and just knew what to do. And so there was that, and I had a boss. And I've had so many bosses who have expected for me to look up to them. They can treat me like crap, and I still have to be nice and not share my opinions. I am not a yes woman, so I did not move up in the ranks because I was not that yes girl. I was a no but, no and so that killed me. I couldn't do it. There's so much of me in me that bleeds out that it just was never going to work. So when I saw this company not doing a good job, and I brought clients from my other advertising worlds in, I took them with me, and I left, and I started out my own. And I will tell you, oh my God, I thought I could do it. It has been a path of learning and trying and breaking and failing and doing great. It's been so much. So in all of that, when I started my business, one of the things that pushed us over the edge, I have a wonderful partner, and he was a bricklayer, and he came home from work maybe a month after I started the business, and said to him, hey, can I start that business? He came home limping. And to make a long story really short, we spent the next year, he was 30. We spent the next year going to doctor's appointments to figure out what was wrong with him. He couldn't walk more than 15 minutes. And I would go outside and cry. I didn't know if he had ALS. We didn't know. And anyway, we figured out the problem from one doctor, and we're Canadian. So they said, oh, well, you can get the surgery in 2 to 5 years. We're like, oh my God. Or you can pay a lump sum money of like $5,000 and get fixed.
Right.
So we're like, oh, 2 to 5 years. Oh God. Cause like, you know, and then because I had asked all these questions to other doctors, we already had another appointment set. And sometimes it's all about who you know. We walked into that doctor's office with the paperwork and he said, oh, well, we know what it is. I can get you in next month. And so it was a simple thing. So we were so fortunate. It was a valve that wasn't opening in his leg. So it was leaking blood. So blood was pooling. He got fixed. And in the interim, we had figured out how to get him into school to become a developer. So he became a web developer right after he had the operation. And then bang, we were in it. We were starving for a while and it was scary and stressful, but now we're a team. We're a team in love, in love and war. It's true. Our powers combined make us exceptional at what we do.
Well, good. Yeah, that's a good story.
It's all right. Yeah,
we've got some similarities.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, the yes woman. Yeah, that wasn't me. Right. I was always challenging things, and you know, this is how it's always been done was just not okay for me. I made lots of changes though, and really helped, you know, some things in the corporate world to be different. I was constantly looking for fixing inefficiency. So I can get that. I get that mentality.
It's funny because there were women, and the women that were high up had to be strong and brutal because they were the only woman of a team of 20, you know, in high roles. It would have been very challenging. So it just trickled down, right, to not working. So
so as far as bringing you up to date to where we are now, what has been your normal routine for like the last 6 months before COVID? Let's do the before COVID, the BC,
right?
of
the BC in BC. So yeah, we were a well-oiled machine, getting better and better. We've been in business 5 years now. So, you know, and I swear every year I hear things like, oh, if you don't make it in year 2, you're not going to, you know, many businesses fail in year 2 and then in year 3 and then year 4.
Right,
and then, so it's like every year I'm like, yeah, I made it.
One more year. Here we go.
Right. And so we were doing quite well. We work with a lot of local brick and mortar businesses, helping them with their online marketing, getting them found in Google. We also worked with companies that had, they worked with like customers. So they worked B2B and then they worked B2C. And so everything was great before COVID. We were growing. We were so insanely busy in December that we couldn't breathe. And then January hit, and like all marketing, it kind of slows down. And we were like, oh, they're just kind of slowed down. Like we had our regular clients, but we weren't getting the leads that we got. And then February hit, and everything was okay. Got a couple new clients. COVID hit. We got a new client or two, which was very strange. And then we had our best clients starting to close their businesses because they couldn't have people come in. So we were fine. It was the businesses that we worked with were going out of business or putting things on hold. The devastation in people's voices when they called us and told us they couldn't pay us was heartbreaking. We still work with all the companies. So we decided if we were going to struggle and they were going to struggle, we were going to do it together.
Struggle together.
And so we helped every business that we were working with who couldn't afford to pay us, because we know when and if they get to open the doors, we're still their team. And it was hard. It's a struggle. We're Canadian, so there have been some benefits to that, in that our government has supported us if we came into a situation where we weren't making enough money to live. Right. So we did qualify for some help, which we took for a couple months. We are out of that now. So we are getting back into things. We've met some new clients. We've changed our business completely on the inside. And it feels amazing. It's a little scary because everything's different, from our sales process to everything.
So let's get into that for just a second. What did you change about your sales process? Because I did some changes too. I created some efficiencies and processes that I didn't really have before.
So one of the things, it may sound cool that I have a degree in psychology, but I don't have a business degree. And we cobbled together our business. We use Trello for our project management. We use Streak for our emails. So there were two of us, and we had 4 contractors before COVID. So we had to put everybody on hold. And then we started taking the work internally. And I will tell you, if you want to hear a crazy story, you know how sometimes in life the right thing happens at the right time because you're just lucky. It's like good luck meets good fortune.
Preparation meets opportunity, and it just happens.
So I had a message in my Facebook page, my personal Facebook. Somebody friended me whenever I accepted, checked him out, and he messaged me, and it was a little sales pitch. I was like, didn't really respond, and then read it, but it was so good. His wording was so good. I was like, okay, I'll talk to you. And then so we talked. We had a half an hour conversation. He told me about this mastermind he does. Now, he did not tell me, and I didn't buy it at first. I bought on the second round of our talk. This guy is amazing. I bought something that I didn't even know what I was getting. There was no write-up. There was no sales page that he directed me to. And it's the best thing I've ever bought for my business in my entire life. Anything. It's the best thing I've bought. It's changed my whole business, from how I sell to how we do processes to how much I charge.
What is it, a software or just a process?
It's a process. It's a mastermind. So it's a group.
Oh, a mastermind.
Which I didn't. So it's a group coaching, but it's, you know what? You know how there's all these salespeople online?
Yeah.
They're always selling, I can get you this, that. To find a salesperson that sells exactly what you do. So I met a salesperson that helps marketing agencies do better, be better. They're consultants. I don't know. There's oh gosh, I'll have to tell you their name.
You are their niche market. You are exactly who they're helping. So they would help me possibly.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of processes. So we do things like, it's business. It's like going to business school for marketing agency. It's been brilliant. I'm in week 8. Okay. My whole business has changed. I'm making more money than I've ever made before. I love the people I'm around. I am passionate, and even with the world on fire, and I had to stop watching the news from COVID to everything else. I've cried a lot, not gonna lie. And this has kept me going. So I feel very fortunate that I, on the random, bought something from somebody that changed my life.
That's cool.
It's so cool.
I've actually hired a coach who's helping me really follow my life purpose, if you will. And then I also hired an intuitive coach that I'm about to meet with, who's going to help me map some things out. So they're very different.
I'm going to give you this guy's name. You can go check him out online. Just because honestly, I've never bought anything that I didn't read up and make a formal decision. And I can't tell you, I'm lost for words about, just because where we struggled most was with our processes. And taking the time to train someone takes away our time, and our time is so valuable because we need to serve our clients that it's a very hard thing to get your head around. But it's actually easy.
Do you just record what you're doing and talk through it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But there's more. Yeah. There's more to that. There's how you then take that recording and what you get other people to do. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah, what I did for mine, instead of hiring a coach, I actually went and worked for another agency.
I was going to try that.
Yeah,
how'd that go?
Did that. It went well. I did it for about 8 months. I needed to have some consistent income I had just come out of an entire almost year of deep, severe depression.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's hard.
After my mother had died, it was like the week she was dying, I got like a really incredible opportunity. And I thought, okay, I'm really going to push hard on this. And then she died, buried. I went on a trip, came back, and I was ready to just go whole hog because I'm a worker. You know, I really work hard. I really do a lot of, I don't know, I pull a lot of things together.
And you have 3
Action taker.
kids.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And a cat.
And a dog. And a husband.
Yeah. I saw the husband once.
Yeah, he's here. he's not here right now. But no, what happened was I thought I would be able to do it. But there were some things that I needed to not to work on, but to actually feel and live and experience. And when she died, I thought, okay, this huge weight has come off my shoulders because she had been ill for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
and was in a wheelchair for 6. So it was just really, really tough emotionally in all those ways. And when that came off of me, I thought, okay, I'm ready. But I was weak underneath. And I didn't know it. And so I ran into like, boom, brick wall. And it was like, no. I had to just do what I could to just maintain what I already had. And that's all I could do.
And somebody once told me it's some of the best advice I've ever gotten. And it was when my dog died. And my dog, I'm telling you, he was my person. Like, I know if other people are listening, they're like, what, a dog, what? No, but I had a manager that said to me, sometimes your 70% is your 100%. And that's all you can do. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. I was about 20.
Yeah. See, right? Like it's life gets in the way, and it's hard, and it's beautiful and devastating all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I am so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I mean, that was something that, you know, it was just part of the process, and her being gone was the best thing because it was so hard for her. It was very difficult. But now and I tried even that summer to start writing my book about the whole just generational this and that and the other and all these things about mother relationships and
I can't wait to read that.
All this stuff. And I was just exploring and I don't know. I mean, you know, it just kept going. And then I just really got back into work and got myself back up to normal. And then here we are, 2020 was coming. You know, here we go. I was running into 2020 doing really great. And then COVID. And now the Black Lives Matter. But the funny thing is that I'm back into the passionate stuff. I'm doing the activism. I'm being an advocate, and I'm doing the work to bring that forth. So COVID was the first thing. And I was like, oh, this is like my background. I know how to analyze this stuff. I know how to read the data. I know how to talk to people. I know how to make it sound, make like it makes sense. I know how to tell them where to go and what to watch and what to ignore.
Which is what people needed.
Yes. And so I've been doing that. It's in my own small little world over here. But I've been doing it, and I've been writing newspaper articles, well, not newspaper, but news site articles, you know, to publish that and just build this body of work around it. But then now with the Black Lives Matter situation and this whole movement that's happening, it's almost like I'm getting back to my own story.
Oh, isn't that neat? It's funny how, you know, a lot of us went into this year, you know, out of last year going, yeah, 2020 is going to be the best year ever. You know, and the thing about that is, I think it might be just not the way we thought, like, my God, wouldn't it be great if women, transgender, Black people, Asian people, like Native Canadians and Americans or Aboriginal people all were treated with fairness and dignity? Huh. I'm like, it would be good to see the world change for everybody.
Yeah.
So it makes me very emotional.
Yeah,
So
me too. Me
yeah.
too. But
And
that's the
I,
hope.
yeah.
That's the hope with the whole COVID thing. I watched something this morning. This woman was saying how people have been able or been forced to kind of slow down and look at things.
Yeah.
And with that, the COVID situation has created a lot of frayed nerves and a
Mhm.
lot of upset of the apple cart, where you've got people whose businesses are closing, like your clients, or at least they're slowing down to a point that they can't continue at the same pace, or they're going to have to completely change. I've got a good friend who literally left town and moved to Texas because she was like, look, I just can't even sit here and pay all this rent, and she has no children or anything, or husband, so she had that opportunity to go and live with her parents for a while to get through this. But it just didn't make sense for her to sit there and create this situation where she would just be financially destitute
And on her own. And
and on her
yeah.
own. Yeah, so she had that. But you've got a lot of people who don't have that. And if you're doing brick and mortar, that's a very different type of situation, because I work with a lot of people who are online or
Yeah.
who have services that people just can't get away from. Like people can't not hire their accountants to help them get their
With their
taxes
taxes.
done.
Yeah.
They can't not, a lot of people are doing the whole online fitness thing. I've got a lot of online fitness people in my, repertoire, if you will. And so it was
Yeah.
easier for me, I think, just because I knew the online world and a lot of people wanted to push to get to it. And so a lot of people really invested that money at the beginning. I made a lot of money in the first couple of months.
Interesting. We had a lot of people pivoting. So because my partner in crime can code in Liquid, which is Shopify,
Oh,
we
that's
can do
cool.
we can do custom e-commerce sites, and because we do search engine optimization, we can take everything you got and we can
You
put
can
you
do
online.
you can do Kajabi Liquid.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ah.
I didn't know Kajabi was in Liquid.
Oh yeah, it just opened up a whole new world for you, hon. There's like 20,000 people in that group.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will tell you that I'm gonna come back to that after, because forever now. What group, and yes, add me.
Official Kajabi group,
Okay.
user group, something like that. Official
Yeah.
Kajabi.
Okay. And so yeah, with all the things that happened, to be honest, I wasn't surprised that the world blew up a little bit after this, because if you take away people's businesses, if you take away people's jobs, and you'll notice the timing of things was about 2 months after COVID. So if you can't feed your family and you can't support the people you love, and then you're not even being like, you're being shot at or killed by the people that are supposed to protect you, what options are there? Like, you're going to be mad and frustrated. We know that we are susceptible to the environment. That means heat, cold. So if it gets really hot, we get irritable. If you can't support your families,
if I don't eat, I'm a bitch. I get hangry.
Oh yeah. So, and like, yeah, hungry little kids, like, and so people who are in relationships or stuck with their families had a really hard time. People who are single have had a really hard time. I've made
They're
sure
alone.
to call my friends who don't have partners in their house, to call them every week and to make that. So like although, there's been a lot of bad things that have happened, there are some good things that have come out with it. More understanding. I learned, as weird as it sounds, that we are pack animals. So I'm a hermit. I'm a little bit of a recluse. I love where I live. I live close to the ocean with my partner. We have animals. We stay home.
I want to come see you.
You're gonna come visit. It's gonna be great. We'll knock elbows. It'll be awesome. We'll probably hug.
I can't get on a plane yet, though.
Yeah,
I'm not quite there.
Fair enough. I am not there either.
Yeah.
Maybe some driving in a boat, right? But I will say that yeah, so one of the things, because I'm an introvert a little bit, even, because I stay at home, one of the things that really changed for me was realizing we are herd animals, and what affects you affects me. And so there should be more equality between us all, because we cannot survive without one another. And, and all of us, all our differences make us up as humans. And so being a part of the human condition, and a herd animal, we gotta work together. So yeah, it was good lessons, right? Hard times, good lessons.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard. Makes me want to cry almost every day. There's some things that I see that's just like, I don't even know what to do. Like, how do you fix this?
Right.
How do you fix it? And I'm a fixer. And so it's really hard.
One of the hardest things that I've done is I've asked some of my friends for documentaries or recommendations of books and things like that to educate me more, even though I believe I am not a bigot. You have to unlearn everything you've learned, because it's systemic, which means it's built in.
Well, there's also other things like, I work with a lot of life coaches, a lot of people who do this law of attraction thing, the limiting beliefs and the, all that kind of mental deep work, that emotional work that is so hard to, it's so hard to get to the crux of the problem, to the deep wound, which is what sets people free into, being able to move forward. And that's something that we've missed in our societies, if you will, in that we haven't given the mental health, the emotional health, and the abuse and all the things, we haven't given those things the attention that they deserve, because it really does create this generational continuation of the problem, and it manifests itself in different ways in different people. And people's personal experiences have everything to do with it. So when I first started working with them, it was back when I was leaving corporate in 2015. I met this woman who was like, she just like ended up in my inbox, and I'm like, she goes, I've got something I think that would help you. I want you to come over here. And it was like some sort of law of attraction, infinite possibilities kind of a thing. And I'm like, who is this lady? And she lives nearby, like an hour and a half away. And she's willing to come see me. And she's starting this movement and this whole thing, whatever. And I was interested, but I was kind of like, interested like that. But I loved her, and I loved these people that she had gathered up. And I stepped into that world, and I totally did not understand what they were talking about. But after a while, and after I started really digging in and getting to know people, I started to realize that I'm actually a lot like them.
Interesting.
And that I had all these stories that I needed to unwind. And you have to literally unwind them all the way back to the earliest memories you have. And
that would be so hard.
It is hard.
I don't know if I would do it. I'm not, no, don't think I'll ever be ready.
Yeah. So I didn't do it like all at once or with just one person, but over the years, I've kind of done it a little bit at a time in different ways. And I've watched other people's transformations. And I've also had our own family situations going on, and my own depression that I dealt with in 2018, which was interesting because of course we're going off in these crazy conversations, but that's okay. I just went into, I have stories of having things happen in my life about every 7 years. It seemed like I would have this 7-year itch to, to step back and analyze my life.
Interesting.
And and so I feel like I've finally figured out a lot of those things. And I think that's what happens when I turn 50 too. So it's
interesting. I'm 46, and I will say, I follow a couple people who speak my language. So although I'm like, I'm not ready, so they speak my language in that something I've always said to myself, you have to be your own best friend versus your own worst enemy. I learned that when I was 30. And so the people that speak to that, the people, because of why, like what you're saying to yourself. So I am on the bandwagon, but so the people I follow definitely push you to see like where you're going wrong. And it's not really this, but it's this, and like dig in there and like ask yourself those real questions and like growth and, just trying to grow and be the best person I can. So I mean, we're so lucky that we're in different countries and we can connect with all these people now. We can find our people who speak the language we need to help us grow into what we should be.
Yes. I've felt that too. I felt that, I call it Planet Facebook. And that I've been able to meet a lot of people who I'm like, gosh, why didn't I grow up with you?
You know what Phelan always says to me? Phelan's my partner, as you know. But Phelan always said to me, because I'm like, oh, people don't like me, blah, blah, blah. He's like, have you met everybody?
Yeah.
And
there's like that's 7 billion people on the earth. Hello.
And we all have our people. We do. So it's, and to grow together is, I think, it's opened so many doors, so many of my eyes seeing things. Wow, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, but think about it too. The funny thing about it is that now I can also look back on people that I did grow up with, and I'm like, I really get this person now. Or, wow, I bet we would have been good friends had I known this.
Yeah. It's true. Being more open. And just, so I have this little saying, vision today, loving, understanding, and empathetic. I've had it on my desk. It's just a piece of paper. It's a silly, like, notepad piece of paper. But it's the vision that I want to have, to share. Because what you give out to the world, you get back. Like what is that when you have one finger pointing at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? So just like, just trying to be better. And
imagine that with the police.
Oh yeah, right.
And what's coming back at them right now.
Right.
And it could be individuals. It's individuals, but you know what I mean? Like there's so much happening right now.
Well, if you learn why police were created, I think that why the police force was originally created, like going back and learning about those things and learning the things that are still in constitutions everywhere, which should be removed. And the fact that, yes, mental health. So when my mom was having kids at 27, she would walk into a doctor's office and they'd give her a pill for her problems, whether that be Prozac or pills that don't exist anymore. So then in my generation, I don't know, we had like illegal drugs. So, a lot of them. In your kids' generation, they put kids on drugs because they acted out or that. So we're not dealing with mental health. We're not talking about things. We're not taught. So cognitive behavioral therapy is a really great thing that we have learned is something that can change our behavior. We can change our behavior. We can change how we think of ourselves, what we're doing. We are not this being that is just, that's it. So, so we need to put more funds into helping people, not policing people, helping people.
And that's the funny thing. I mean, we've gone completely from this COVID to this Black Lives Matter, movement situation in the discussion. And it's all going to come back to the COVID as well. And it's going to just kind of oscillate and happen together. And then we're going to have this U.S. election. It's going to be insane, I think.
We are watching from afar. I will tell you, it's very interesting. I think a lot of Canadians, if I can speak for our whole country, really look on the States as a partner, and we've been devastated, and we're learning a lot of lessons from you guys. And
The what not to do, or
what not to do, and what we need to deal with, and what we need to stand up for, and that there's so much hurt and pain around the world that it's time that we all stand up together. And COVID's not gone. COVID was the cause of all of this, to be honest, the cause of the breakdown, the cause of the inwardly reflection of love. And right, so it's all there, and it's not like it's gone. My parents are in their 80s in downtown in Toronto, and they're not going out, and I worry about them. I'm having Zoom meetings with a 7-year-old for a dinner party, my brother's daughter. And so the world's definitely changed. I mean, when you hug someone in 10 years, will it feel weird when you see people too close together on television shows? And you do, you go, oh, they're too close, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that particular part's going to be, but I feel like the distancing is almost a metaphor for we really need to get right with ourselves.
Interesting.
And that can be painful.
Oh, it is. I'm not going to lie. It's not something you want to live in every day. Depression is hard. A lot of people are on antidepressants or anti-anxiety or whatever. And the reality is, so when I lived in Vancouver, I got major anxiety. I got put on anxiety drugs, and I had to hear something which was really interesting, and it changed my perspective. And it was, two things. Anxiety is just the same reaction as excitement in your body. It's just you're identifying it as something different. You're processing it differently, right? And anxiety is a natural part of life. Once I figured out those two things, and that I was going to have it, but how do I manage it for myself, and that a pill won't make it go away, or it can subdue it, but
it can mask it, but it doesn't make the problem go away,
right? And so this is where we need to deal with things. We're all hurting, and I will tell you, I'm the first not to want to deal with it, and like the world forces me sometimes. And
I've always been the one that okay, let's just move on. Oh, that happened. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, but I got to do this right now. And it just vision, focus, it was just always like that. And then it finally got to the point of like, no more.
Right, my dad's part of the silent generation, and he's British, so we would talk about things. I mean, we didn't even hug, so right.
So then your hope for the future, when we've kind of already brought that into the conversation, is what do you think will come out of it?
Loving, understanding, and empathy for one another. Team, being a part of a team in the sense of a world team. I think that I am willing to stand up and for other people's rights. It's time, and I think that so many others are. So I see a bright future. I do. I see a bright future. That's what I imagine, and when you put things in imagination, they're gonna come true.
Yes, I agree with you, and I think it's coming. I don't know how long it's gonna take. There's gonna be a lot of work. There's gonna be a lot to do, but it's gonna feel right.
And that's the thing. I think one of the things that we all have to walk away doing is to try something different, to try a little bit harder, to have uncomfortable conversations. I have one scheduled for next week to start to understand a little bit more of the world, and so more friendships. Oh my God, the opportunities are endless when we help one another. So giving back, helping people, feed people, food banks, super important. We're making sure that we are, every time we buy food, we're giving some food to the food banks, because we know more people are going to need it than ever.
Yeah. So, that's good. You
got to try to do your part. The littlest thing matters,
It does. And then the bigger things will come. The teaching, the support, just acknowledging that this exists
is a big deal.
Is huge, because it gives people confidence that they can step forward. and that they're not going to get beat up along the way so hard. They're going to have a layer of protection.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could all be ourselves and be loved for it and be propped up versus pushed down?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hope to be the proper upper.
Yes.
So
the buffer, the proper upper, whatever it needs to be.
I just love talking to you.
Well, I love talking to you. Thank you.
I really appreciate all the things you're doing and for, shouting your cause, because it's hard to stand up and shout for something that you believe in, because you want people to accept you. But so here's a couple things. I'm a vegetarian and I love it. And I'm a vegetarian because I don't like how they treat animals in that situation. However, I'm not against you if you're a meat eater. That's okay. And I don't need to change you. So that's one thing, right? Yeah. I have a lot of gay friends. I have women friends that have turned into men. I have men friends that have turned into women. I support environmentalism. I support gay people. I support LBGQ. It was less
letters before LGBTQIA.
Yeah, it was less before. So I do apologize. Like, I am supporter of green energy, of saving animals, of helping people. So yes, and I'm going to start standing up and saying it, because I've kept that behind closed doors, and it's not because I want anybody to feel bad or like they should be like me. Yeah. But because I want to be myself and have that be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you have to do that, and you will get attacked for it here and there, but you also have to just say your truth. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Right. And so, and I mean, attack, hopefully we can grow from that, all of us, right? I know it's easy to be mean online. It's also easy not to pay attention and delete comments.
Yep, and delete friends.
And delete friends, yeah.
I've done that.
I've done that too.
Yeah. But I don't want an emotional response every time I open up my Facebook. I would just be like, ugh.
Right? Yeah, I try to keep Facebook fun and light. And then, the real conversations happen really in Messenger.
Yeah.
A lot, right? So the dark social, they call it. Ooh. The dark social.
Yes. Well, it's been great talking with you, and thank you so much for doing this with me, and we'll get this out for the world to hear.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Send me a link. I'll share it everywhere.
I will.
And thank you. Thank you so much for doing what you do and being just so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Pip. Thank you for listening today. Subscribe to this podcast to hear all our episodes. Go to shoutyourcause.com to our podcast page for information on our guests and notes from this show.